using plastics to wrap their food. The campaign is to help create awareness about the economic benefits of plastics as well as their harmful effects on the environment.
The Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, MESTI, initiated the Plastic Waste Management Campaign to help reduce plastic waste in the country's environment and at the same time show how useful plastics can be when properly managed. The campaign, which is christened "Plastic is a Resource, Not a Waste," forms part of the ministry's measures to promote collection, segregation and recycling of all kinds of plastic. The Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Kwekwe Fiye, who delivered the keynote address for the occasion, expressed worry about the indiscriminate littering of plastics in the environment. He spoke about the unfavorable effects of plastics on the reproductive systems of men and women.
Dangerous aspect of this plastic that we ingest is that there is something called leaching. That means the binding substances sometimes leach into our bodies and disrupt our internal functions. As a doctor, I know if you're a female, the plastics, their chemical composition share the same structure as part of your hormones, and it can disrupt your menstrual cycle and cause problems. If you're a male, it can also enter the system and also interfere with spermatogenesis.
Segregation of plastic waste from other kinds of waste helps to easily identify items that can be recycled. A program manager at the Ministry of Sanitation and Water Resources, Madam Charlotte J. Mafo, outlined some benefits associated with recycling of plastic waste.
The circular waste economy presents us with one such opportunity that offers jobs. So we are looking at sustainable resource use, we are looking at technological innovations and the job creation within the ecosystem.
The Kwahu East District Chief Executive, Mr. Isaac Japon, pledged his commitment to ensure that the objective of this campaign was achieved. The St. Dominic Senior High School did a sketch on the importance of recycling plastic waste.
The Upper East Regional House of Chiefs has called for interventions to mitigate the impacts of climate change in the region. This is in view of the fact that the effects of climate change, such as excessive heats and unpredicted rainfall patterns, are so pronounced in the Upper East region. The Chiefs made the call at a National Energy Transition Forum at Bolga, the regional capital.
The National Energy Transition Forum was to give stakeholders an opportunity to gather information to assess the current situation in the energy sector, the benefits, risks and cost of global energy transition, and to propose risk mitigation measures, among others. The traditional leaders felt the need to take into consideration the rural folk who depend on charcoal and firewood for energy. The paramount chief of the Sekoti traditional area, Nabasigri Biowong, said people have continued to rely on the felling of trees for charcoal due to the high price of LPG. He therefore called on government to make LPG more affordable. The Deputy Minister for Energy, Mohammed Mumin Adam, said there are cost implications in the attempt to move from the dirty sources to clean sources of energy.
Ghana is currently producing oil and gas. Now, oil is considered dirty fuel. They are asking us to stop producing oil and gas. And because of this, money supporting oil and gas projects is declining. Part of this money is used to finance the free senior high school program. So if we are going to transition from oil, it means that we will be losing the money we get from oil.
The program officer at the Ministry of Energy, Mr. Obed Crane-Boache, indicated that some jobs might be lost in the energy transition process as technology would be relied on more to help quicken the process. He also noted that the ministry had plans to scale up the program and distribute more cylinders and cook stoves to areas where firewood and charcoal are used mostly. The strategy is to support them to switch to LPG.
Renewable energy technologies were very expensive when they set out, when they came out initially. These days, the cost of renewable energy technologies are reducing, and they are expected to, continue reducing as the technology is being improved. So definitely, once we are able to, localize some of these things, we believe we can bring costs down whilst, creating jobs for the people.
The U.S. Agency for International Development has supported the Health Promotion Unit of the Ghana Health Service with $29 million. This grant will enable the unit to accelerate its social and behavioral change interventions within 17 demarcated zones in the Northern, Northeast, Upper East and West regions. Sarah Fori reports.
Attaining progress in any key health indicator such as achieving open defecation-free environments, controlling malaria and infectious diseases, promoting nutrition, sanitation and hygiene, maternal and child health, family planning and sexual and reproductive rights, among other health interventions, require social and behavioral change. These preventive efforts, in turn, reduces the incidence of morbidity and mortality. Although this falls under the purview of the Health Promotion Unit of the Ghana Health Service, poor infrastructure, poverty, socio-cultural and gender norms, as well as inequities, hinder efforts geared towards behavioral change.
In many areas in the northern residents remain most rural, with poor access to infrastructural support contributing to poverty, poor social, economic elasticity, unemployment, malnutrition, and low contraceptive prevalent rates. When combined with social, cultural, and gender norms, early marriage and childbearing, these factors hinder access to resources and the ability to make informed decisions or to seek health care.
To enable the Health Promotion Unit to motivate the beneficiary communities to achieve the desired results in social and behavioral change, the USAID, through its Accelerated Social and Behavioral Change Program, has given a $29 million shot in the arm to implement the 5-year program in the Northern, Northeast, Upper East and West regions. It will also build on the capacity of health workers under the Health Promotion Division.
We may give individuals the resources and the information to make healthy choices, but unless we don't understand the factors that inhibit or motivate the adoption of the behavior, we will not make lasting behavior change. This work starts with understanding the root causes, including the knowledge, the attitudes, and practices and social norms that affect behavior change.
The ASBC program will also engage marketing communications companies, researchers and implementing partners not only to create awareness but to attain evident behaviors by beneficiary communities.
Our scope of work is challenging and daunting. We'll be engaging UNICEF, USAID projects like Enhancing WASH, Impact Malaria, Breakthrough Action, and so many more, collaborate on efforts towards achieving measurable change in key health behaviors.
The USAID support follows a similar one that promoted the Good Life, Live It Well brand that reached over 18 million people with messages of healthy behaviors. Sarah Fori, GBC News, Accra.
Farmers and commuters on the Ayima and Chira stretch of road in South District of the Bono East region are appealing to the government to urgently work on the deplorable road that connects the two communities. They say a good road will enable them transport their farm produce easily to the markets.
According to the residents in the area, the communities along that stretch are endowed with cash crops such as cashew, cassava, yam, among others, which can potentially propel the area's development. But the poor road network is a disincentive to development partners. Market women and inhabitants of these communities are the hardest hit by this situation, since vehicles conveying their goods refuse to go to the farms due to the bad road. A farmer, Mr. Ishaku Watara, told GBC News that commercial vehicles simply declined to come to communities in the area, thereby impacting negatively on their local economy. Madam Susanna Asan, who told GBC News she is in the cassava business, expressed worry over the situation. Mr. Yao Ado was equally worried over the bad road network in the area. A unit committee member in the area, Mr. Stephen Ej, said communities such as Botenso, Banda, Wenchi, and Subinso are always cut off from Anyima in the rainy season.
So you know by me major so. Amay dianwama ye nya hwimfim. Ye masku sem ye di yeduma na ye. Kwan ya senti ye ntimma ye makura nkosku. Ye besre present.
When contacted, the district chief executive for Kintampo South, Mr. Opokunyame, said all the deplorable roads in the district will soon be fixed.
Toilet data on all our roads. Those that needs rehabilitation, the critical ones, we've submitted everything to federal roads. So we are waiting that we get approval for its construction. So we are seriously working on it.
It was observed that the bad road network has also affected quality healthcare delivery in the area. For GBC News, Samuel Ayama, Enyima.
Municipal and district mining committees have been inaugurated at Sehwioso in the North region. They are to supervise small-scale mining activities in their various localities. A Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. George Mreku Duka, who officially introduced the committees, said they would be held liable for any breach of the mining law in their jurisdiction. The work of the committees includes direct supervision of both small and large-scale mining activities within their jurisdiction. They are to ensure responsible and viable mining for the benefit of the community and the nation at large. This means they are to ensure that proper environmental practices are upheld to protect water bodies. The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Mr. George Mreku Duka, said government is determined to support small-scale mining, but in a way that is legal and environmentally friendly.
Your mandate is very simple. Manage the mining architecture in your district. You must make sure that whatever that we are doing in terms of mining, it is done or are done professionally, responsibly, and viably.
The University of Health and Allied Sciences UHAS in the Volta region has, since its inception, churned out 5,428 health professionals who are serving the country in diverse ways. Out of the number, 3,123 constitute nurses and midwives. The Vice Chancellor of the university, Professor John Japong, made this closure at the launch of the university's 10th anniversary.
The University of Health and Allied Sciences, UHAS, established by late Professor John Evans Atta Mills, started operations in September 2012 with 154 students after the passage of the law that established it in 2011. UHAS, a specialized health and allied health institution of higher learning, now boasts of a student population of 7,678 with a staff strength of 891. The university runs about 20 undergraduate programs and 9 postgraduate programs. This university has gained local and international recognition. The Vice-Chancellor of the university, Professor John Japon, commended the late former President Atta Mills for the foresight, as well as other governments who have contributed towards the infrastructural development of the school.
Indeed, the Act of Parliament, Act 828, that I have referred to profusely, says we must have 11 academic units. We have fully established 9 of them. The 10th one, we started operating this year at School of Dentistry. We have had the President of the Republic come to visit us, and when I showed him that only one of all those several units have been built, he said, Rome was not built in a day, but it was built.
Solidarity messages came from the Volta Regional Minister, Dr. Archibald Lecha, the Deputy Health Minister, Mahama Asei Saini, and traditional authorities. The chair of the university's council, Justice Victor Doche, said those who sowed the seed of the success story ought to be recognized and commended.
Dreamers of this vision, the political leadership at the time, the late Professor John Atta Mills, President of Ghana, the caucus groups, the community members, the philanthropists, contractors, Ghana Commercial Bank Limited, the landowners who gave up their lands, the citizens, the committee set up to map out the plan for the implementation of the establishment of the university, notably Professor Sefa Dede and Dr. Christine Amakunuama, and the ad hoc implementation team members all deserve our commendation and special recognition on this day when we are celebrating and launching the 10th anniversary celebration.
Prior to the launch, the university authorities inaugurated the Professor Kofi Anyidoho Auditorium. Professor Kofi Anyidoho was the first and foundational council chairman of the university.
The Bono East region has inaugurated its Lands Commission office to see to effective land administration for sustainable development. The call was for residents not to litigate over land to boost investor confidence in the area.
The regional office was inaugurated at Techimai in accordance with Article 260 Clause 1 of the 1992 Constitution, which provides that the Lands Commission shall have a branch in each region to be known as Regional Lands Commission and shall function specifically according to Article 258 of the Constitution. In the Bono East Regional Minister Mr. Kwesi Jan's message, the Chief Director of the Bono East Regional Coordinating Council, Mr. George Padmo Mensah, said all must work together to effectively implement the provisions of the new Land Act. This will also ensure that resources are properly channeled for it to work. He reminded staff to always be mindful of the ethics of their profession, assuring them that the government will create the environment for staff to work professionally.
There can be no sustainable development, and there will be little or no willingness by both local and foreign investors to do business with us.
The Bono East Regional Board Chairperson of the Lands Commission, Mrs. Amakudom Ajemai, announced plans of the Bono East Regional Lands Commission for a strategic multi-stakeholder sensitization, consultation and engagement in collaboration with identified partners. She said the commissioners and secretariat also recognizes the urgent need to encourage people not to abandon the processes of documenting their land interest.
Following the inaugurations, one of the key things we will be doing is to embark on a campaign that Operation Complete Your Land Documentation Process.
The acting executive secretary of the Lands Commission, Mr. James Dodson, says they are working to address bottlenecks impeding effective land administration and management in the country. This, he says, include decentralization, digitization, infrastructure development, operationalization of site plan, and addressing challenges regarding compensations.
We have to be the magnet to attract the people of the region to come in to register their land transactions.
The Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources in charge of lands and forestry, Mr. Benito Owusubio, called on the staff to dedicate all efforts in support of the government's agenda to digitize land administration in the country. He called for collaboration between staff and management of the Lands Commission to help in achieving its mandate.
An efficient and decentralized land administration system will boost investor confidence in the new regions and ensure that efficient land administration delivery is brought to the doorstep of every Ghanaian.
The Ankobiahene of the Techimai Traditional Council, Nana Amponsa Yabua Takra II, said residents must take advantage of the office to register their lands. He said the chiefs in the region will collaborate with the Regional Coordinating Council to secure a permanent office for the Lands Commission. For GBC News, Samuel Ayama, Techimai.
The inability of most parents, particularly in rural communities, to provide their wards with school uniforms affects not only the learning but also school enrollment. Pupils who will attend school without the required school uniforms or ragged clothes are often mocked by their better endowed classmates, resulting in majority of them dropping out of school. For this reason, a charity organization, ProMark Foundation, and its partners school uniforms and footwear to Agomo Primary School in the Bongo districts of the Upper East region.
ProMark Foundation's prime duty is to encourage the targeted individual to exploit their potential through healthier life choices, education, capacity building, advocacy, and research. The Agomo Primary School is currently faced with numerous challenges, including inadequate furniture. Most of the pupils lie on their bellies to ride. A Class 4 pupil, Regina Agumbiri, commended ProMark Foundation for the gesture. She appealed to government and benevolent organizations to support them with furniture.
They are still appealing for chairs and tables.
A parent, Madame Linda Ayamga, was grateful to ProMark Foundation but was worried about the inadequate furniture in the school. The Chief Executive Officer of ProMark Foundation, Mrs. Corrado, said for some years now, the organization has supported several institutions in the country, including an orphanage home in Sirigu in the Kasana West District, among others. She said most deprived schools were challenged with numerous problems which affected academic activities. Hence, the donation.
Uniforms will go a long way to keep school children in school and to break discrimination and inequity barriers among school children.
A retired educationist, Mr. Awoka Anthony, also commended ProMark Foundation for the gesture and appealed to government to provide the school with the needed teaching and learning materials. For GBC News, Samuel Ayama, Agomo.
Exotic scenes of Ghana's waterfalls, predominantly found in the Volta region, have been captured by a renowned photographer and filmmaker, Steve Ababil, as he makes public his film and written documentary on the country's waterfalls dubbed Chasing Waterfalls. Chasing Waterfalls traces the roadmap and guide to over 29 waterfalls in the country and also projects beautiful photo collections of these waterfalls and other natural resources around them. Works from Chasing Waterfalls documentary have been auctioned in Accra.
Beyond the household names of waterfalls in Ghana like Willy, Kintampo, Oti, Boti, among others, lies an avalanche of diverse waterfalls across the country. They may not have made the list of popular waterfalls in terms of tourism and academia, but one main agenda of the Chasing Waterfall documentary is to create a conscious effort in selling Ghana's untapped natural resources to both indigenous and international communities across the world. In essence, the project plans to propel Ghana to the #1 spot in terms of tourist destinations in Africa, as well as to create a national agenda to invest in local tourism. The Chasing Waterfalls project has received support from GCB Bank as its objectives resonate with the bank's corporate social responsibility.
We are the platinum sponsor for the event.
I think it's about time that a number of financial institutions take the time and look at ways in which they can support endeavors like this. For us to be able to grow the tourism industry in Ghana, these are some of the steps we must take.
In the same light, the UK-Ghana Chamber of Commerce says it is ready to attract investment opportunities to support the project to reach larger markets outside Ghana. Madame Ajoa is the executive director of the chamber.
Steve is promoting Ghana as a tourism destination both internally and to external audiences. And GCB Bank, as an indigenous bank, is interested in the commercial aspects of tourism. So when we pitched this idea to them, it was a no-brainer. They were very happy to support us. And this event is one such networking activity for our members, and then also to promote the business of Steve Abebu.
Mr. Steve Abebu, the originator of the Chasing Waterfalls project, is confident that domestic tourism, if well invested and patronized, will create employment opportunities for local folks living in such environments through the provision of hospitality services to tourists.
Because of my focus as a travel and photographer, I have seen a lot of different places. At some point I decided that, you know what, I haven't seen anybody do anything specifically with waterfalls, so I would like to do something in that vein, and that's how it came about. It's worth it, it's been interesting, and it's been a good learning curve, because it's important to know how to get to places. I mean, how easy is it, how difficult is it, what are the roads like, what are the amenities like, what's accommodation like, and so on and so forth. So it's been a good journey.
Books on the guide, map and photos to the 29 waterfalls captured in the projects, as well as portraits, were sold and auctioned to art lovers and corporate bodies at the unveiling of the Chasing Waterfalls project in Accra.
Still to come in this bulletin, we have business, sports and entertainment. Do stay.
Time now for the business segment. Good afternoon and welcome. I am Dorothy Ajamai. A former finance minister, Mr. Seth Thekbe, has said the government is not likely to meet its revenue target of 100 billion cedis despite the approval of the electronic transfer levy e-levy law. Part of his argument is that last year government was able to bag 67 billion cedis out of the expected revenue 70 billion cedis. And the e-levy is expected to bring in about 6.9 billion cedis. The Ghana Revenue Authority has announced 1st May 2022 as the day to start implementing the e-levy. We have on the line an economist, Mr. Bismarck Osei, to help us discuss this issue. Mr. Seth Thekbe's estimation of the revenue target. Good to have you join us, Mr. Osei.
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone.
Thank you. Now, what is your view of Mr. Seth Thekbe's assertion that government is unlikely to meet the revenue target for 2022 despite the passage of the e-levy?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I concur with the view of Seth Thekbe that it's very difficult for us to meet that target. I say this without any equivocation.
Okay.
Why am I saying that? Some of the measures that have been put down to be operationalized to achieve these ambitions, some of them are not able to be effectuated to achieve what we want. What are some of these measures? One of the e-levy, for instance, we are saying there is possibility that the volume of transaction is going to be plummeted. It's going to be reduced. In other words, last year, 5-6 months, our transaction on mobile money was 467 billion cedis. With the introduction of this with a huge charges, it's very, very possible that it's going to have some participating role towards implementing the level of these the transactions and the money you have been getting. Therefore, government might make the target of getting the 6.7 billion. Again, too, the GRA said they want to raise this money. Another instrument they want to use to achieve is that they want to implement the Uniform Property Administration platform that will ensure that property tax are being collected. But ask yourself, has that thing started? It was about budget. It's 4 months now. It has not been impregnated as small things. So even if you want to make the target of 900 billion, with our hopes on the collection of tax from uniform property taxes, it has not been even operationalized, aside even the e-levy. Again, to one of the measures the central bank the GRA wants to use to raise the money is to tax social media, and therefore they introduced social media tax platform that will take effect late this year. And they're expected to get about 2 billion. And if you get 2 billion, I don't think it will be now for you to achieve the 9 million cities they are targeting. Again, they are also thinking of editing accounts of extractive agencies and oil agencies, which they think it will bring in revenue to meet their targets. And I'm afraid that they have not shown a lot of agility towards achieving these momentous effects, towards achieving this target.
Okay.
So if Mr. Secretary says we cannot meet that target, it's right.
Okay.
This Physical Electronic Device Act was passed in 2018 that will ensure that VAT will pay electronically. They want to operationalize it, but up to now it has not been operationalized. And if they want to achieve that target, 9 billion, it is quite very, very difficult for us to achieve that. It's a very good ambition, but I think to me, I think we cannot achieve this dynamic effect.
So, let me ask you this. So, do you share view that the 100 billion Ghana cedi revenue target is too ambitious?
Yes, I would say it's ambitious.
Okay.
But they have to be over-ambitious.
Okay.
Why? Over the period, they have been perennial underachievers when it comes to raising enough revenue to finance our expenditures. Those structural rigidities you are fixing, we should be able to raise enough revenue internally to deal with this fiscal and debt stability, which is the key tenant towards building a robust economy. It's ambitious, as we said, but it's good to be ambitious because only 2.5 million Ghanaians pay taxes. Tax revenue to GDP is 40%. Even in South Africa, tax revenue to GDP is 25%. And therefore, they have to be ambitious to make sure that we get closer. Even if we don't get an 80 billion, I don't think we might get closer to 70 or something. I think it'll be good. It's a good path towards moving towards achieving that for pictures outcome of mobilizing money internally.
Finally, would you say the revenue contribution of e-levy has been overhyped?
Thank you. Secondly, as you rightly said, there's so much noise being made about the e-levy. How much are we expecting? 6.7. They have been reduced it down to 4.5. This amount, I don't think it is very powerful that we can achieve it. Why? The volume of transactions of the e-levy is going to anticipate over the period because of the effective charges. So even what we are targeting, we might not achieve it. Again, aside not meeting the target, last year, the technical paid over 4 billion cedi taxes to the government. If this is implemented and the volume of transactions is implemented the period, these taxes they pay to the government is going to be reduced. So even from the side of probably not even meeting the e-levy, from the side of these technicals too, it's very powerful to know that it's possible that they might not be able to raise enough revenue to pay even their profit against the government. So not even aside meeting a target, you might also not get enough tax revenue from these technicals that we got over 4 billion this last year. So it's something that we have to think very deeply and see how we try to show agility to deal with some of these challenges that are being pop up.
Right, Mr. Osei, thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
That was an economist, Mr. Bismarck Osei, who just gave us reasons why government is not likely to meet its revenue target despite the passage of the e-levy, as indicated earlier by former Finance Minister Mrs. Tete, and the other it's over-ambitious. Tanzania and Niger have expressed interest in hosting the 8th Organization of African Caribbean Pacific States OACPS meeting. At the end of the 7th OACPS meeting by ministers in charge of fisheries and aquaculture, the 79 member states adopted a strategic plan to combat the barriers that have confronted the blue economy and hindered sustainable fisheries and food systems. Other areas the conference considered were the promotion of sustainable, inclusive, transparent and resilient aquaculture value chains.
Those vessels, we always say they belong to foreigners. I want to correct that impression today, that they are not for foreigners. The owners are Ghanaians because they have their names registered with our ministry. And when you go into our document, it is the name of the Ghanaian that is there as the owner of the vessel. We are still supplying premise fuel to the fisher folks. Just that it's not enough. It's not enough, as maybe if a landing beach will receive maybe 2 or 3 trucks, it's been reduced to 1 or 2. And that is why they are saying that there are shortages of premise fuel. But to the best of my knowledge, not total shortage. Not total shortage. And seriously, it has.
Ministers have taken commitment to take into account small-scale fisheries and opportunities during the International Year of Artisanal Fisheries and Aquaculture. The ministers have taken the commitment of scaling sustainable and inclusive fisheries and aquaculture value chains to transform food systems, and finally, and impacts on the climate change as well were looked at. They have finally adopted a strategic plan on fisheries and aquaculture for 2030.
Away from that story, the government of UK has announced £35 million in support of the effective implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area AfCFTA agreement. The UK government's fund support for the Trade Pact was announced by Anne-Marie Trevelyan, the UK's International Trade Secretary. The fund will support AfCFTA negotiations and the agreement implementation, making it easier for nations across Africa to trade and grow together. Prior to the announcement of the support program, Secretary General of the AfCFTA Secretariat, Mr. Wamkeli Mene, was in the UK to speak with African diaspora business leaders based in the kingdom. Mr. Mene told the gathering that the AFCFTA is an apt response to the reluctance of investors to invest in small, fragmented and uncompetitive markets on the African continent. He said the trade agreement following its implementation has provided a large and attractive market with reduced cross-border barriers for investors to undertake larger revenue projects on a regional rather than national scale. Let's have the performance of the local currency on the forex market and the prices of gold, cocoa and light crude from the Commodity Board. For the business segments, the news continues after the break. Please stay.